Hello and welcome to Campfire Conversations, stories from the center of the universe, where we bring the stories from our campfire to your ears, wherever you are in the world. Here we chat to friends over a favorite drink, enjoy the crackle of the fire, and let the real stories of life in the bush be told. Let's get talking to some bushveld legends and hear about their finest hours, the moments that made them question it all, and what keeps them coming back for more.
Yeah, they knock a glass over, they dance it hard, it's awesome.
Tonight's drinks of choice are straight Coke, gin and tonic,
That's
500ml Castle Lights. Let me introduce my special guest and friends. Usually at this time we do an introduction song, but our special guest is going to choose when he wants to do his song. I'll leave that up to him. This afternoon we are very lucky to have bushexplorations.com at Bush Explorations Africa, a passionate wildlife guide with 35 years of experience, conservationist and safari operator, wildlife project specialist. John was born in Durban in 1962. His formative years were spent growing up in Matabele land. JD's main passion is photography and filming. He started in the safari and tourism industry in the Sabi Sands Reserve in 1979, before I was born. The time of the formation of the original Sabi as a young dog's body, as he calls it. The guiding life continued up until today, interspersed with farming projects and military service. His diverse range of experience includes game capture, setting up leopard research programs, elephant research, training of field and operational staff, consulting on many development projects in diverse areas and regions, from Southern Africa through to West Africa as well as Nigeria. Reserve, lodge and camp operations, movie, documentary, film shoots, events and launches, sales and marketing shows. JD is a safari and big game specialist with a passion for wilderness areas. He is extremely enthusiastic about life, has had malaria 4 times, does not drink alcohol because his liver can't take it, smokes a couple ciggies every now and then, loves a coffee, has always been a gentleman and a scholar to me. We come a long way, have loads of very special bush memories together. The man, the legend, John Dixon. Woo-woo! JD, good to have you here.
Brett, thank you very much, and thanks everyone here around the fire. It's a delight and a pleasure, in fact, to be with you guys. Thank you. Much appreciated. And that's quite a nice introduction. I didn't know I'd even done half of that.
And there's more. I had to cut it short.
No problem. Okay, no, that's thank God.
But it's a pleasure to have you here, JD.
Thank you.
So. I just wanted to jump straight into it.
Yeah.
I know people often ask you questions the last 35 years around the fire. I mean, let's say, what is the question that most people ask you, and what is your answer?
Well, the interesting thing is that the most common questions would always be to do with, particularly, obviously, the cats. Yep. Everyone's fascination with the cats. And how old is a lion or a lioness, and what age are the cubs, that kind of thing. So that's a lot of the questions that for the first time safari people, that's their fascination, is they want to see the big stuff, you understand. Yep. There's been all sorts of interesting answers, of course, or questions over the years that I remember was things like, do giraffe eat impala, which is true story stuff, you understand. And you're going, what? You understand? No. You understand.
Just to clarify,
yeah, they don't. No, they don't. But you understand, some right silly questions often get asked. So, yeah.
If I had to ask you, what's your most dramatic moment? That's tough, I guess. I mean, obviously life is life, but let's say in the bush and...
that's a good question. Obviously, there's a lot of drama, in particularly, again, with cats, for example, and tracking the cats in the thickets in the bush. With being charged upside down by angry lions or leopards, for example, with cubs. But probably one of the most emotional and deep experiences that I've experienced was many years back now in the Timbavati area, the old Ingala as it was then. We were busy working in the field, and we saw some vultures dropping down. It was fairly early in the morning. There'd been a massive electrical thunderstorm the night before. So we were fixing roads and mitre drains and whatnot and clearing the roads and things. And Timot, the old tracker, who, bless his soul, is no longer with us, a legend, man. When he walked, he had leprosy, pleurisy, and TB, and everything else. His chest gurgled. He sounded like he was a lion in the thickets. Scared the living daylights out of us when he did that, you understand? So Bob Manthe and myself and old Timot, got out of the vehicle, and so we headed up towards where the vultures were dropping. And we walked and we walked and we walked. And as we came through a drainage line and up a ridge like that towards a crown of trees, we could see where the vultures were dropping. And the area around there, it looked like a bomb had gone off. And as we got closer, we actually discovered there was a white rhino cow. And she'd been killed by a breeding herd of elephants that night in the electrical storm. It was insane. And you could feel the actual ambience as you walked in. Your hair kind of stood on end, you understand? So now we know, well, this is insane. So we got closer. Initially we thought, well, has it been poached? Has it been shot? Has it been wounded? Or has it been caught in a fight? Till we got closer. We discovered what had happened through the track work, that what had happened is in the storm, in the confusion, the calf running in front of the mother behind, and they'd run into a breeding herd of elephants, because elephants are not happy with electrical storms and stuff. They were all huddled around the bambinos. And as they ran into that, obviously the cow drilled her. Got her? Literally, you could see where she'd been hit. They'd flung her up into a bush willow tree about yay thick and literally snapped it 2 meters above the ground with that force. To show you the power. But the area around for a good 40, 50 squares was just churned up. The smells, the ambiance, the feeling was hair-raising, you understand? And very sad. We obviously had to then now go look for see what we could find where the calf was, and get it recovered if we could, you understand? So, but that was probably for me in all of the years, that just had an incredible feeling, if you understand what I'm saying. It just I'll never forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I've never heard of anything even remotely similar, and that is.
And Timot still had a dodgy chest gurgling on the walk back out. So.
Teddy, I wanted to just bring somebody else in.
Yes.
Who have you brought with us with you today?
The lovely Katherine Kuntz, okay, who we collaborate together on safaris and safari projects and so on. So the lovely Katherine.
Let me just, Kath, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Katherine Kuntz, HopeAfricanAdventures.com. At Katherine Hope Kuntz, the President and Adventure Specialist at Hope African Adventures. Born and raised in Texas, Katherine Hope Kuntz always had an innate connection to the wilderness. After graduating in 2014 from the University of Texas at Austin with her business degree in consulting and change management, she worked at a highly esteemed public relations agency back in her hometown of Houston. After spending time in the corporate world, she realized that both this environment and her profession were not fulfilling her life's true purpose. In 2015, she made the radical decision to quit her job and take a leap of faith. She accepted the opportunity to go on a charity climb up Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania for her friend's non-profit called NEMA International. After this first journey to Africa, her childhood yearning for adventure was unleashed, and her newfound love for the continent solidified. In 2016, she departed to South Africa and Botswana to achieve her certification as a professional field guide or safari guide through a one-year program with Eco Training. She now shares her passion for Africa by planning safaris and excursions for enthusiastic travelers worldwide. Lifeguard, cheerleader, safari guide, travel planner, all-round good girl. I met her around a fire at Djuma Game Reserve. I think we believe in the same core principles of ecotourism and sustainability. We have never had a dancer and might never again. Kat, the best thing I found on the internet of you, in South Africa we have no idea about this apart from movies. Tell us about the Spirit Squad. Let's kick it off there.
To go back a little ways, before I turned into a cheerleader,
Do that.
I was
Please.
a gymnast for 10 years.
Okay.
So I was on the track, training elite. Goal was the Olympics, injuries and other stuff along the way. I realized that it was not for me and I wanted a life. And so I switched into dance and cheer because it was like the natural trajectory to go into those things. And my high school cheer coach really pushed me hard to try at the university level. And so at my university, we have over 50,000 students. For football games, there's 100,000 people in the stadium. So I proudly supported my university, Hook 'em Horns, for 4 years dancing and cheering. So
It's incredible. And obviously, I was interested in it, because for us, that's something that we are not accustomed to.
Yeah.
So that's the University of
Texas, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
team is
The Longhorns. That's my Hook'em
Hook'em
Horns.
Horns.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We all
Yeah.
learned something.
Yeah.
Okay, let's leave it at that. That's
Yes.
cool. Hook'em Horns. What brought you really? I mean, what made you come and end up in the center of the universe, Hoedspruit in Africa from Texas?
Well, like you already said in the whole bio part, I'd been actually supporting my friend's nonprofit since college, so I knew a little bit about Africa, but unfortunately I will say we're not really taught a lot properly in the US about, we look at Africa as just a conglomerate, but don't actually understand that it's all different parts working together, or maybe sometimes not working together, however you look at it, but so yeah, I'd been supporting her, and like I said in the bio, or you said in the bio, I was not happy in my first job. I was starting to feel like I was turning into my dad who works really hard and going in the weekends, and I said, this is not fulfilling. So when my friend just told me, she's like, we're doing this climb, you want to join? I told my mom that I really want to do this, and yeah, I'd gotten the time off approved from work, but then as it came closer, I just said, you know what, I'm quitting. I'm going to take the time on the mountain to figure out what it is I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
And obviously, it was my first time in my life, no Wi-Fi, no internet, I only knew my friend on the climb, nobody else, so no one had any backstory about me,
Yeah.
and I really asked the hard questions, and I actually started looking back, and I always actually had a passion for nature and the outdoors, and holidays were spent, and I took some classes in university that were about sustainability and conservation. They're just electives, but that really interested me. So yeah, basically came back from the climb, and I said I want to come back to Africa. I love it. And so thanks to my mom's help, actually, she found the guiding programs on the internet and was like, maybe you should look into doing this.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I didn't actually know anybody in South Africa directly. And obviously, just from my research, found eco training, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to trust my gut. And yeah, that's
Awesome.
what originally brought me here.
So do you think in the time, let's say you're training in eco training or somewhere where you've traveled, is there a place that really sticks with you?
I would say probably one of my favorite places so far, I've been lucky to go twice, would be the Makari salt pans. Yeah, just magical.
Tell us why it's magical for you.
Feels
I
like the
believe that
moon. When I went there the first time, it was a very quick trip. I was actually with a mentor doing site inspections with her, and I was fortunate enough to join her for her travels. And so we only got a night. And I had heard about the sleep out, where you go out basically, like I said, they're dried salt pans. And we were there during the green season, so obviously they don't offer that. And I knew, I was like, I want to come back. I want to come back. It's just spectacular. And yeah, I got to go with my first round of clients last year. And we did the proper sleep out where you're literally, there's nothing. So seeing the sun set, and then you wake up in your bed, which you're in your hot water bottle and everything, and you wake up and the sun's rising, and it's very unlike obviously what we see in the documentary. So most people, obviously want the quintessential savannah, but from a uniqueness point of view, it's one of my favorite places.
Love it.
Yeah.
Takes me right back there. That was beautiful, actually. Yeah, Makari pans. John Dixon, is there a place that you've traveled the continent. So, is there a place that you love? Let's say, if I said to you, let's go tomorrow, anywhere we want, where should we go?
It's a toss-up really between the Luangwa itself, so South Luangwa, and the Luangwa area,
Just tell, so
and
let's
then
say
the Zambezi, of course, the
Remind
mighty Zambezi. So
Yeah. Why do you love that? I've got another
Well,
question
you-
that
yeah.
sent in Africa Come Alive. What's the biggest fish you've ever caught?
biggest fish,
Yes.
a 7-kilogram tiger
Very nice. Yee, that is huge. I like that. In the Zambezi.
in the Zambezi.
So is that where your soul is happy, on the Zambezi River?
I
somewhere?
love mighty rivers. I
Yeah.
think that's the Zambezi has a spirit of its own, in real terms. The Luangwa has a feel all of its own. The green, greasy grey Limpopo is very different. You understand? But mighty rivers always have fascinated me, always,
Absolutely.
from childhood days.
Love
Well,
it.
what's wild?
Yeah, and I
It's
think the
beautiful.
Luangwa
The
is-
great trees, and those massive trees there, and the bird life, and the sound of water, and of course, the silent waters where the flat dogs are waiting for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And hippopotamus.
For
The
those who don't
Luangwa
know
was insane.
JD's vocab, that's a crocodile.
Hippopotamus.
Yeah.
Heaps and heaps and heaps of hippopotam.
Yeah.
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 The word hippopotamus makes me think of. Do you have any specific animal sound you can do, Kath?
Oh, me. I'll let JD go first
Okay,
on
good.
that one.
Pass it on.
Yes, I'll pass it.
All right. Well, let's see if your listeners will guess what this one is.
Executive producer. What was that?
I'm gonna go with the leopard.
Ah, see.
Am I on it?
Yes.
Very good. A round of applause there.
Wow.
Hey? It was a bit flat.
So spot on.
Kath, let's hit your favorite sighting, your most memorable sighting, the most interesting thing you've seen. Whatever.
That's very difficult.
It is difficult.
I would probably say because it was one of my early sightings during training and being a trails guide walking hours. We literally had probably 15 different elephant encounters within the whole walk. We just kept bumping them up in Makaleki, the northern part of Kruger National Park, and it was just one after the other, and one of the bulls came within 7 meters of us, and we were crouched. He was very chilled and everything, and that was when it really felt real, because obviously being on foot is way different than being in the vehicle. So I think that starting to have those moments in my time being here really solidified my love for being in nature even more, because obviously you're so well connected. You feel more well connected when you're walking rather than a vehicle. So, but yeah, that would be probably one of my favorite sightings.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm going to come back to you. You've got some questions. You're going to fire away for us. JD, anything that comes to mind? Interesting observation, great sighting, sad, happy?
Yeah, look, I mean, again, it's a very difficult question because there's so much over the decades that I've managed to see and experience. But certainly for me, the outstanding sort of stuff has really been where there's wild dogs involved. Madash, Hlolwa.
Always come back to wild dogs.
Those are my favorite machines. Just their whole social knit and how they operate and work. But I've been fortunate enough to see some incredible interspecies encounters over the years with wild dogs active and hyenas and lions getting in the way and that kind of stuff. So definitely wild dogs stand out for me. I've had situations where I've had other lions killed in conflict, leopards the same. Those are all different dramas, if you like. You understand? Some of it really sad and tears, and when cubs have been done, then there's long wailing and gnashing of teeth from the guests, and we don't love Africa anymore, and but so it's quite hectic, I mean, I have a situation like one that clearly stands out. In fact, in the Sabi Sands, driving down the old Salati railway line, you know where that is, okay? We encountered two magnificent big black maned lions. Lying there, all regal and posed and doing the whole Hollywood show, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's going, oh, we love lions. No. And it was late afternoon, early evening. And of course, the railway line has the embankment bed situation. So where the tracks would run, there's a steep embankment. Late afternoon, early evening, mistake. A cheetah moved up with 5 little ones up over the ridge and onto remember, it's gravel. So the noise, the stones, and the one lion picked up the sound, turned and looked, and within seconds, they smashed 2 of those. And the cubs were all still in the silvery grey mantle at the back, all right. And myself and Richard Sewell, a legendary tracker from those days, he's now retired. They smashed 2, boom, boom. She went down the dip, rushed off into the left with the other 3, and then bombshelled. And the lion stood there and waited. And at this stage, there's again wailing and gnashing of teeth and screaming in the back. And JD, shoot the lion, shoot the lion. Yeah, I kid you not. The folks say, shoot the lions. I'm going, no, roll camera. Roll camera. Roll camera. Do you understand? So I was not popular, as you can well imagine, that night. You understand? I was not popular. So what happens is these 2 big lions, everyone forgets they can count. They'd killed 2, but they knew there were more. Thank you very much. Yeah. And of course, the whistling chirp call of the cheetah. And theories have abounded. Oh, it's a camouflage call, so the other things don't see. Those lions knew. They went tweet, tweet, and the lion walked and said, thank you. Nipped it, waited for the next one, nipped it. She got away with one. So that still was a standout event, you understand. But as I say, I was not a popular ranger guide with those guests that night, because here I am, they want to shoot the lions. I'm going, what's wrong with you? Roll camera.
I love it, JD. Okay, not a happy story, but yeah.
No, it's the lessons of life and death in the African bush. No. I think she touched sides down somewhere north of the Sabi Sands. She was long gone. But a big lesson for her. If that she's inexperienced potentially for that cheetah, maybe her first litter, she should not have been moving them at that time in that terrain at all. She should have been bedded down already somewhere with those cubs.
Kath, over to you.
All right. Question from one of your loyal guests that you've had, Mark Riddle with the Rollers. Both Brett and JD have hosted that group several times now, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
So the question is, you have one more wilderness trail you can do with your favorite guide. Where would it be and with who?
Whoa, that's a very, very tough question. Very tough question. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, thanks for that, the Rollers. Okay, nice, tough question, eh? Okay. So, Mark, look, what we'd have to do is I'd have to give about 30 seconds of thought. I think one last walk in the wilderness, I would have to probably go with my old passed-on friend, Bob Manthe, who was a legend friend of mine, who sadly passed away some years ago. And probably walking, I would be thinking somewhere in the Zambezi. Yeah. On the Zambezi floodplain. Yeah. So that's not to diss anyone else who's out there that I've worked and walked with. Yeah. So.
I want to jump in.
Yeah.
Because a legendary story when we were with the Rollers in the Timbervat, and I think I underestimated JD's reflexes before this. I might have, I don't think anyone would blame me. We were on a walk with the Rollers, and Mark Riddle was on that walk.
Yeah.
And they're quite keen birders. We followed into a drainage line, orange-breasted bushrat calling. We had to see the birds to get off on the list for the weekend.
That's right.
There were lion tracks up and down. Maybe my version and your version are different. Okay, do you want to tell the story?
No. You tell the story first. No.
Followed into this very, very thick area where we probably shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
But because we were looking for this bird, the orange-breasted bushrat calling myself,
which got to be ticked off.
Strapping young men.
Yeah.
And there'd been lion tracks up and down. We couldn't find the bushrat, but we're very close to a dam, very close, big dam, Sunset Dam.
Yeah.
So I thought, let's just walk to the dam and have a water break there. We're on 2 hours into the walk or whatever. Yeah. It was all the rains after the drought.
That's correct.
The dam was so full. And when I walked into the dam, I didn't realize, but actually eventually I had water on both sides. So we'd walked in, we had water on both sides. We'd walk through extremely thick bush. When we were walking out, I was leading,
that's right,
and JD was right at the back. So we'd walked in. We were now starting to move out, and this bush that we'd walked past, unbeknown to us, had 2 lions in it, mating pair, male and female.
That's correct.
And when we started coming back past them, they decided this is not ideal anymore, and they exploded. But literally, the bush exploded.
That's correct. Yep.
I had water on both sides of me still, so I wasn't sure where the lions. I honestly did not know what was going on. I thought it was a hippo. That bush exploded. That I thought there was a hippo coming on.
Yeah.
Before I could lift my rifle, work out what was going on, JD had his weapon in his shoulder and pointed it and shouting at the lion, and he'd identified it as a lion. We talked about it for 8 hours. There was half an hour of silence, half an hour of chattering.
Yeah.
And
there was a lot of nervous giggling and laughing from the Rollers that day. Do you remember, eh? Big, tough, brawny boys.
Was a male. That guy.
That's right.
He's now in charge of the thorny bush somewhere.
Yes, a mean piece of work.
Yeah. No, JD was. I did underestimate your reflexes until I saw you lift that weapon into your shoulder that day. That was a thing.
That was a good story. That was a good situation. Yeah, that was fun, eh? The rollers won't ever forget that experience again ever in their lives, eh? Yeah.
They won't.
Yeah.
Kath, moving on. See, that was a thing, JD. Your favorite animal, or if you came back as an animal, a thing.
Can be any animal, or
Yeah.
do you wanting it? Okay.
Anything.
But I would say, I mean, I still always say an elephant because I think it would be cool to see from their perspective. And obviously, they have a lot of the same human emotions like we do as people. So that would probably be my animal choice to come back
Okay.
as.
There's something special about
Yeah.
elephants. JD, I'm going to ask you 2 serious questions.
Yep.
I do need you to be brief about them.
Yep.
Excuse me, they've been sent in yesterday. They're long answers probably, but we've got to be brief. So the first one from Alex Host, a very good friend of mine in Joburg. He said, how have rain patterns over the last 20 years affected the bush, and has it been noticeable? And I couldn't answer that question well enough. It's a tough one.
Yeah, Brett, and Alex, that's a very, very good question, actually. Look, I mean, it's 20 years is obviously a fairly short time in real terms to there's some trends that you may find in seasonality in terms of rainfalls. But certainly, for the most part, there has been in the last 40 to 50 years, there's definitive trend changes in rainfall levels. I understand. So, and yes, of course, in terms of we've had extended drought periods, at shorter cycles and so on in the last 25 to 32 years, I think it is. So yes, there is definitive changes that will occur. But for the most part, I mean, when you're looking at the normal rainfall we receive here in the low veld, as opposed to the high veld regions and the middle veld areas, the problem is when you have an extended dry spell drought period, of course, then you've got the die-off in terms of the animals because there's lack of food. One of the biggest problems, of course, in the old years was when the game reserves, for example, were smaller fenced-in zones instead of having bigger, more open systems. But look, I mean, it's a difficult question to answer in a short space of time.
Yeah.
But there's rainfall patterns have changed without question. If you look at, go 20 years, 40 years, 60 years, 80 years, 100 years, and you look at the records, the rainfall records, you'll immediately see, and that's drgoogle.com. You'd be able to pull that information for Alex. Alex can find that in that, and specifically to those regions, and also through the agricultural sector, who obviously have records of all of those, you understand. But I've experienced some very, very bad droughts, as you've experienced some drought times, where it's really, in some of those droughts, for example, we were literally shooting hundreds and if not thousands of animals, in cropping off animals. Not nice.
No, it's not.
Next.
Let's move on. It's also a downer. Literally, I want to answer in 1 minute, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Great friend of mine, a fantastic guide and director of Africa Revealed, Byron Serrao Photography.
Yeah, we know. Yeah.
How is the guiding industry being affected by the COVID epidemic?
Yeah, hello, Byron. Yeah, we know you well. Nice question. Look, the COVID-19's effect has been dramatic, devastating, and huge in the immediate and short term. It is going to have very big effect in the medium to long term for job opportunities and freelance guides and operations, smaller business operators. And it's really going to be a time now going forward that a lot more collaboration between individuals and or smaller groups of people all work together to the common cause and common good. Because the COVID-19, we're going to have to learn to live with as opposed to thinking it's going to go away, you understand? So,
100% wise words. And again, I think that's why we're here, collaborate and connect. Kath, if there was one place you could visit before you die, where would that be?
Oh, that's tough. I'm always bad with decisions, being a female. We know how this is.
I came to
let
you,
me
I want
see.
to book a safari, and I have no budget. I've been on a few safaris, but I want you to tell me where I should go. Like, literally, I have no...
Yeah, but you can do that almost everywhere. That's the tricky part. But
But where
thinking
would
of
you say I should
unique
go?
places. Well, I mean, are we talk? I think in general, something because I want to do it. It's on my bucket list. Is definitely doing the gorillas. I think and staying at the top notch. That would be if you're saying no budget.
Yeah.
Because again, it's so different to everywhere else, and obviously, as you can tell, I have a connection to animals that have human-like traits, and obviously gorillas are the same. They're very emotional, and you feel like, you know, you're looking at someone, you know, we are related. So yeah, I would say definitely doing the gorillas, whether it be the Congo, Uganda, Rwanda, would be fantastic. So
100%. A tough question. My friend Ali Edmond sent it in. It is a tough question for you. Under the stars in a tent or 7-star luxury? Bath, champagne.
I will under the stars always. I take a backpack, going out on trail, always a winner.
I love it. If I were to ask you, I mean, what are the 3 places you should go on safari in Africa?
I would definitely say probably the Sabi Sands for its leopards. Definitely doing either the Serengeti or the Mara to see the migration. And number 3, let me think. I would say probably like Namibia, because again, the contrast with the desert landscape.
Yeah.
So.
JD, I want you to start warming up your vocal cords. Do you have a parting word for us, man, or a story you want to tell us?
Look, this, you know, I think it's very important that this song, a little tune goes out to our friends, the Rollers. Yeah. Okay, because I mean they're going to have to man up and come and visit us again at some stage. But this is while they are struggling, having it tough in GP, Gangster Paradise, Joburg, and you know, fighting the good fight there. There's a little tune that I'll leave them with. It goes simply like this: the working class can kiss my ass. I've got the Rangers job at last.
John Dixon, my man. John Dixon, Bush Explorations Africa.
Thank you.
And Katherine Kuntz, Hope African Adventures. Anything else you want to say? Check them out on the internet. Check them out on Instagram. Parting word.
Keep traveling. That's what I would tell people watching. Keep supporting tourism in all regards, not just here in Africa, wherever it is in the world, because we've all been hit the hardest. And now more than ever, actually, which will be the good part, I think, that comes from out of this, is people are going to want to go to these natural spaces and reconnect, because everybody during this time has taken time to really find what are the true things that are important in life. And obviously, being in nature, even more, you discover that. So that would be my parting words.
100%.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brett.
Happy?
guys.
Yeah, it's freaking awesome. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
I didn't find a gap to ask you.
That was awesome, man.
I heard you, didn't you? Like you were
That was
trying.
awesome.
At one point I saw you trying.
Did you find what?
That baby rhino calf that got
Yes, the hyenas ate it.
Oh.
I didn't want to make it more. I didn't want to make it worse. I would have been hunted down. The hyenas, a clan of hyenas took it down.
From the peanut gallery, did you find the baby rhino? And you're like, no, yeah, it was eaten by hyenas.
Oh, that's what people are thinking, you know.
And then I wanted to hear, you said the cheetahs were calling, the contact calling.
Ready?
I also wanted to hear that.
To hear that.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to drink?
Yeah, that was awesome, Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Thank
thought
you.
it was cracking. Literally, I thought it was cracking.
Hey, how's it
Yes.
going?
Yes. Hello, Mike Grover. Thank you for joining us. You can find today's guests online via their social media handles linked in this podcast description. Go ahead and give them a follow, share some love, and show some support for what they are doing. We welcome your questions and comments and encourage you to let us know what you're thinking. Who do you want to meet around our campfire, and what burning questions do you have for these bush legends? Find us on social media via the links in the description, and tune in to watch our podcast recordings from around the campfire on our YouTube playlist.
They knock a glass over, they dance it hard, it's awesome.